Good evening, everyone, and happy birthday to the Lester Crowley Manual. It's not exactly, the right day. We're almost there, right? It was released, it's published, I should say. So I still think about release in terms of music. It was published on the 14th, on St. Valentine's, and almost there. It's already 1 year has passed, right? Wow. How's everybody doing? Let me know in the chat here. As usual, you can write in the chat on YouTube, on Instagram, so see somebody on Instagram, and also on Twitch, if anybody is watching me on Twitch as well. Thank you. You can see thank you very much. I see a lot of nice messages coming in. Kind of like the nice messages. We can tell you, it's been. I just spent the last few hours on Twitter or X. Why would I do that, right? That's a good point. Let me see if I can actually find it. There you go. That's what I wanted to do. Basically realizing that the satanic panic is very much real and very much here. Right. It's yeah, I mean, I'm a bit concerned about that, to be fair. And of course, it goes without saying that I would release I would publish the first book in forever. And in the same time as all the satanic panic nut jobs would become very much a reality, right? So here you go. Oh yes, Carlotta is saying it's also on Twitter. Yes. Yep, you can actually watch me live on Twitter. So maybe those satanic panic nut jobs are definitely there. Yeah, we can call it the manualversary. It is the manualversary. It is indeed the first year of the Aleister Crowley manual. It's been a great year. Like, to be fair, I was absolutely floored by the amazing reaction that this book has received. I'm going to give you some numbers later on, but before doing that, I'm going to tell you, and this is going to be a very much like, it's not going to be like my usual live stream. It's very, I don't have a team, right? I don't have anything to say apart of just like hanging out with you for a while, and just celebrating the book, right? That's it. And you'll see that for once I'm not starting with the usual coming up next. I mean, there's going to be a coming up next section, but I'm just gonna spitballing, right? What I say? Yeah, it's been really good, and if I'm able to, something I would like to do, right, is to actually let's say share some screens, but I don't know how to do it yet. I mean, you can see this as me being completely clueless about things. So let me see if I can do it now. First and foremost, I should say that I won a little award because of the book. You might know that every year in the last since 2020, this is the fourth year now, modernwitch.com, which is one of the biggest podcast and website dedicated to culture, witchcraft mainly, but in general culture, they put together something called the Witches, which is really like a social media word for everybody who is involved with magic, with witchcraft, and is a publisher, content creator, etc., etc., etc. They have several categories, and I was nominated. Thank you all that nominated me, by the way. I was nominated as best book for 2024 and best new author, and I did win something, right? It's I wasn't expecting that, but I actually won. Let's see if I can actually do that. We'll be able to do it. We'll see. That's not it. That's it. I actually won the outstanding new author of the year in a tie with Nathan Hall. Apparently, this was the first time ever there was a tie, and it was really. I mean, thank you. You voted for me, and here I am. I won the Witches. So I can say that. I can see lots of people saying congratulations on Instagram. Thank you. I appreciate that. So yeah, I mean, it's been fantastic. If you're curious about who else has won, you can go on modernwitch.com. There is, I think it's over here somewhere. I don't know, somewhere here. see, you can see that today I completely not prepared myself for this. But in general, like you can see, like a lot of other people won various things. That congratulations to Jason Miller for winning the Outstanding Book of the Year, Real Magic. I haven't read this one. I'm definitely curious to get my hands on it, and I'm gonna read it and maybe do one of my reviews on that if I have the time, right? Because I'm kind of busy about with all the projects that I'm juggling at the moment. So okay, let me see if I can actually go back to this. Fantastic. Okay, it's gone. Thank you all for the congratulations here. See, thank you. So yeah, we're back to happy birthday, Lester Cremano. Well, we should see if I can actually get this video and stream demonetized by putting the Bafo boobs on screen. And of course, again, like all the crazy nut jobs that have been harassing me on Twitter will go mad about it, but I like it. I like when nut jobs go mad. That's what they should do. They should actually go mad forever. That's what you should do. And let me just hide this for a second. And yeah, what I've been doing also, and some of you will know, is that I've been working at the translation of this book in Italian. And here it is. It's coming. It's coming up soon. It's going to be published by Lo Scarabeo. Lo Scarabeo is one of the biggest publishers in the world on tarot. Mainly, like if you have a tarot deck, it's pretty much certain that you have a Scarabeo tarot. It's you can bet on it, right? And they recently started a series of an imprint, right? A publisher publishing books as well, and both in English and in Italian. And so yeah, I mean I got in touch with them thanks to Fabio Listrani that put me in touch with them. Fabio Listrani is the author of several beautiful tarot decks. You will know the Goetzia tarot. You will know the you will know the Notoria tarot, the Santa Muerte tarot. There was another one that I really love, and now it's like the night something tarot. Now it escapes me. Another beautiful deck, and so yeah, it's he put me in touch with them, and yeah, the deal was struck, and then I actually did all the translation with big thanks to my partner Jessica. She did a fantastic job at making sure my Italian was still somewhat decent, right? I mean, she made it read very well in Italian. To be fair, I kind of I forgot what Italian is like after so many years of living in the UK. So I cannot speak a good English. I cannot speak a good Italian. I cannot write a good English. I cannot write a good Italian. That's my situation right now. So once again, thanks to Fabio Listrani for putting me in touch with Lo Scarabeo. Thanks to Lo Scarabeo for printing it, and thanks to Jessica for helping me with the translation. It's gonna come out in May and the thing is that a lot of people been asking me forever. Right, like people in Italy, right? We would love to read your book. We love to get your book, but we don't really read English. In Italy, you will still. I mean, there's many people who can speak and read English nowadays, but it's not as many as you would expect, right? So for many people in Italy, they still Italian. That's what they know and that's what they read. So it's great that they can have the book as well. And what should I say? Also, somebody is asking me. Is this the one Lon Maluducat did the forward? No, Lon did not do the forward to any of my book. Well, something I'll have to say shortly. This one, the forward to this one has been done by Peter Lavenda, and the postscript has been done by David Southwell, which is maybe I will read from it actually because I really want to share that with you. Me and Lon, I've never collaborated really. I like Lon, and Lon is, in my experience, Lon is one of the few people who are still member of Audio who's a decent man, right? So I only have good things about say to do. But yeah, we would not collaborate on that. So Peter Lavenda did it, and did a fantastic forward, I should say. So yeah, this is coming in May. There's also a Polish edition and several Balkan editions that have been planned. I know for a fact that the Polish publisher is looking for a translator, in the sense that they had a couple of people lined up, but then apparently they have no real experience with Thelema, with the ceremonial magic, and like, my book is written in a very simple English, I think, but there are some technicalities there, right? So I can completely understand that they want to find the right person for the job. And so in many ways, I'm telling you, like, if you are a native Polish speaker and you understand Thelema, get in touch with me. I might get you a job if you're interested, right? I mean, if this is going to be, of course, a paid job from the Polish publisher. I don't know how much. Of course, this is beyond what I know, but I can definitely put you in touch with the publisher. So if you are a native Polish speaker, or if you speak Polish very well, and if you work as a translator, or if you want to toss your name into the hat, as they say, let me know, because we might have to. I might have a job for you, right? About the Balkan editions, which is like Albanian, Bulgarian, North Macedonian, and I don't remember another one. I don't know about it, unfortunately. That's something that was, in fact, in many ways, that was the first deal that was inked, but I haven't heard anything ever since. We'll see. We'll see if it manifests. I really would love to see the book translated, in Portuguese and in German, because there's markets there. There are Thelemites there, especially in Brazil. But again, there may be something happening with Brazil, but it's too early to say, right? Now, what else wanted to say? Yes, that's something very interesting. So, since we are celebrating the book, in case you haven't got the book yet and you want to get it, well, Watkins is giving a 35% off with the code Marco35 if you order the book directly from watkinspublishing.com. Let me show you how it works if I'm able to. Again, I'm terrible with this thing today. Present, share screen. Is that this one? Nope. This one, nope. This one, no, nope. This one, there you go. So basically, if you go on watkinspublishing.com, right? You look for Marco Visconti or the Aleister Crowley manual, right? You choose as an option hard book. I think it works only for the hard book, but I'm not sure. Maybe. You can try both, right? And then you add to cart, right? It goes to the next one. You go to checkout here. And here you will see that says, do you have a coupon? And then you enter your code, which is Marco35. I think it's all caps, but I think it just works in general. You apply the coupon, and coupon applied successfully, and now you have 35% off. So the book, instead of £20, is going to cost you 13. Not too bad, right? So thank you, Watkins, my publisher, to offer this opportunity. There's also a reason why they're offering it. It's because, and again, something I should tell you now, the book is actually almost sold out. I think we are 500 copies away to selling out the first printing. Of course, there will be a second printing. Like, it's like they intend to reprint it, right? But I'm gonna tell you, like, it's quite like, if you've been following my live streams, or even maybe the podcast I've done over the last few months, it's quite unheard of that an esoteric book exhausts its first printing in just a year, right? There are books that they're incredible success. I'm thinking about Matt Orien's Psychic Witch, which has been like one of the biggest successes in occult publishing. I mean, since forever, really. But it's rare, right? And of course, like, you have to hit all the right times. The book is a great book, which is, the author is a great person. It has a big personality and big connections online, and he was there at the right time, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? So in many ways, it's rare that you hit that kind of jackpot. But, almost exhausting 5,000 copies in 1 year for such a niche little genre. And you got to remember also that I'm Marmite as a person, and I like to be. This is who I am, right? I'm not complaining too much. But the reality there is that this book has been snubbed by all the OTO Thelemites because I'm very critical of the OTO, right? So the OTO Thelemites haven't really haven't bought this book, and then I have very strong anti-reactionary politics, and then all the people that are into Thelema and have those kind of politics has not the book. And then I mean, you might have remembered it's kind of disappearing now, but there's been a lot of defamation attempts in the last year through various avenues that have been all shut down by the authorities because of if you poke the hornet's nest at some point, the wasps come out and bite you, and I'll just leave it at that. But in general, I'd never make life easy for myself. So all this considered, I'm still like 500 copies away to selling out my first pressing. So honestly, thank you all. You made this possible. Like, you who are watching these things here, there are quite the numbers here tonight, here on YouTube, and I can see quite a number on Instagram as well. I cannot see in the other places, but it's you bought this book, and you made this happen, right? So again, thank you so much. Once again, this is. Let me just put it like this. 1 second. I'm gonna leave it as. So it's gonna happen here. So if you look below, that's your code, Marco35, watkinspublishing.com, and you can just get your book for 35% off. I mean, I hear it makes a great Valentine's gift. That's coming next week, right? So you never know. There's somebody's asking me, hello Marco, will you do a Watkins Bookshop talk on your book or future books? Hello Jason, this is actually something I wanted to discuss because it's been a year now. I guess I can discuss it now. You have to realize that Watkins Bookshop and Watkins Publishing are owned by the same person, but they're kind of independent organizations, like different people work at them. There is a lot of cross-pollination, but they're not the same people, right? So what happened there is that when my book was, actually before my book got even published, we're talking September 2022, I had a virtual meeting with Watkins Publishing that pretty much told me that Watkins Bookshop would not host my talk or book launch because of pressure from other authors that they stalk and they don't like me. I decided not to make more name. I'm not going to name names, but since this hasn't changed, in fact, maybe it has become even a little more exacerbated over the last year. Remember that hornet nest I was discussing before, and the wasp coming out, and the avenues of defamation that then are forced to disappear. So I don't think that's ever going to happen, right? However, you never know. I mean, things might change. So as it stands right now, I don't see myself ever doing a Watkins Bookshop talk, or neither for this book nor for other books. It might change. We'll see, right? Of course, if it does change, I will let you know, right? As I always keep a very clear schedule of what I do, right? It's also true that I turned down a series of events that were proposed to me because I didn't like the people that were going to be on the same event as me. The UK culture has become incredibly sectarian, and it's really it's really not a nice place to be anymore. It used to be. I really don't like it, to the point that I really don't like the idea of even doing things for the occult scene anymore. Remember that I wrote this book for somebody who would pick it up at a bookstore maybe, seeing the very garish, if you want, cover, being, getting curious about it, and just pick it up. I haven't wrote this book for Thelemites, and I'm not writing my next book, which is something I'm doing right now. I guess you knew already, for Thelemites. I'm writing it for, and by Thelemites I mean, serious Thelemites, or Thelemites that belong to serious orders, or esotericists in general. I'm writing this for people who are interested in learning what magic is and learning what magic is going to do to better your life. Okay, so there you go. That's my story right there with Watkins Bookshop. Someone is asking me here. We will make it a book tour around the US. If people invite me, sure, right? At the same time, there are a lot of costs being involved there, right? Flight tickets are not cheap, right? And accommodation is not cheap. It's If there's interest, if anybody who wants to invite me to the United States to do talks, or to talk about the book, or to talk about the concepts in the book, and do practical workshops, I am always open to it. I'm having been a touring musician for 15 years. I know how much it costs to fly people over and to put people in hotels. Even people like me that of course, I have no need for fancy hotels or for business class trips, right? I'm happy with something that's decent, but at the same time, cost needs to be paid, and it is expensive, right? So we'll see. Like I said, I'm absolutely very, very, very open to do anything, book talks, workshops, even maybe, weekend courses, whatever, right? With the book as its focus. But however, like I said, if nobody contacts me, I'm not going to organize it myself. That's the truth of it. As you know, I'm already organizing, a retreat in the south of France at the end, in September. I'm organized all sorts of talks here in London at the College of Psychic Studies. Just did one yesterday. It was a fantastic day, working on the history and practice of the pentagram rituals. Going from the beginning till the Thelemic pentagrams, a little bit of weird pentagrams as well that I haven't wrote about in the book. That was great, but in London we have these big structures. And to be fair, they are all very, very well established. So they can afford promotion, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? So very long story short, I would love to come back to the US. I haven't been in the US since, was it 2016 now? It's been forever. I have so many friends there that I haven't seen in literally 8 years now. Of course, the pandemic added to it, but in general, I would love to. I used to be in the US all the time as a musician. Like I used to tour coast to coast all the time. I do miss the place, and I do miss the people there. But again, it's very expensive. And at the end of the day, I sold only 5,000 copies, right? We're not talking about 200,000, 500,000 copies, which is that you would command the kind of crowds that maybe would make it possible for people to think, let's organize this. But again, I'm not against it, right? I would love to. So, okay, let me see here. Okay, this is good. Like, you certainly don't have to agree with the one's politics to recognize a good piece of literature. You would think so, right? I was in doubt if I was to do this next bit, but since you asked, I think I'm gonna let's have a little bit of fun and look at some of the reviews that this book has received over the last year. I should say the book sits very comfortably at 5.5 out of 5 on Amazon and on Goodreads. It's great, right? It's insanely good. Thank you for all of you who've been reviewing the book. Once again, if you haven't reviewed the book, please do it. You don't have to write a huge review. All you need is a title, some words, and say why you liked it, right? Reviews really help a ton in this algorithm hellscape we live in. Just to let you know, like for instance, like a book, when a book receives 50 reviews on Amazon, that's when Amazon starts running their own promotions. And of course, so you will see that from time to time if you go on Amazon, pretty much every book, goes 20% less, 15% less. That's not what we do. Like, first of all, authors have nothing to do with this. I think I told you once, as an author, I earn $1, well, £1, not $1, £1 for each copy of the book I sell, more or less. It's a little bit more, but we're talking cents. It doesn't matter how much you spend on it. That's what I earn. The publisher earns various percentages, but mastodons like Amazon, which is really only Amazon, they run their own promotions, even if it's at loss at first, because they are interested in moving quantities, right? So for them, if they see that a book is getting a lot of reviews and a lot of positive reviews, and if you see that the Amazon link is shared around, because of course they can look it with analytics, then they start running their own internal thing. You might see that, for instance, in Amazon UK, the book is 25% off now, and maybe in Amazon US is 10% off. So once again, I cannot tell you how much reviews are needed. But now let me go back to what we were saying here, because this is fun, right? So you would say, well, you don't have to agree with politics to see if the book is good. Well, let me show you what happened on Amazon. Share screen again. Is this one? Is this the one? Yes, it is. There you go. So here we are, right? This is Amazon US, Amazon.com. As you can see, 4 out of 5, 149 global reviews. Very, very good. Beautiful. 82% 5 stars, 5% 4 stars. So, like you would say, this is a very normal split. Actually, it's a very positive split, right? I would like to, I will comment on this 3-star review later. But first of all, if you go on the one here, right? Look at this one. Could have been a good book, but Marco adds too much of his own personal politics and beliefs, and that ends up projecting his own unfounded assumptions within this material. What? Where? Right? Like, if you read the book, let me see if I can actually show you. Maybe you're going to read this, right? There you go. If you read the book, you will know that there's no politics in it. I don't discuss it at all. Do I discuss politics from time to time on my social media? Yes, I do, because I always say that magic is political to me. Magic should be political, in fact. But do I put it in the book? No. Do I criticize the OTO in the book? Yes, I do, very much so. And in fact, better to study a Lister Crowley magic from someone actually in OTO rather than by someone who holds a bias against the OTO. Why? Why should we do that? Because, well, that the funny not funny bit is that I actually know who that person is, and that is a person from the Los Angeles Lodge in OTO. So you see the point I'm making here, right? So you would say that people should not discuss politics, and maybe discussing politics are not there should not be like a problem for reading and accepting or not accepting a book. But guess what? That's not what happens. That, like, the only bad reviews, 1-star reviews you find on Amazon, they all come from people that pretty much say that the book is shit because I hate the OTO. Or and in one case, I have pretty much like what they call leftist liberal politics. I always say I don't see myself as a leftist. I see myself as a progressive, which I think they're very different things. But what can I say, right? So I told you I wanted to show you something else as well. I wanted to discuss something else as well. So there's this 3-star review here, which is interesting to me. It's really, really, really interesting to me. Let me see if I can actually put it bigger. There you go. So let me read it for you. 3 star. I mean, 3 star. I think it's a fine. It's a. I mean, Amazon consider anything below 4 like a critical review. That's insane, but hey, I think that 3 star it's valid. Like you might, it's a book that you read it, you appreciated it. It's not a book of your life, right? But it's a decent star rating. However, it's the it's the commentary that made me realize that this person really didn't get it, because this person says, right, stripped down is an understatement, bare bones. Visconti pretty much says Crowley is past its use by date. I don't say that. I would agree. So maybe you say that. That's your bias, right? The minor prophets are not good for more than 4 generations. That's another statement. Okay, major cultural shifts, which occur roughly 80 years or so. That's the theory of the fourth turning. It's a theory. It's not fact. Render the minors irrelevant or even harmful. I'm aware of many such cases. Catholic saints often fall into this category. They fade away with time. Well, I mean, I'm not going to comment more on that. Having rendered Crowley impotent, the book echoes as a holotad. If you're really a Thelemite, this may liberate you for other pursuits. This seems to me like, this is this person that wants to get rid of Thelema. And that's fine, right? Like it works for you. Like I'm glad if you read my book and you decided that Thelema wasn't for you anymore. Someone is saying, Pama Hemlock, is this you, Aaron? I think it's you, right? Never read reviews. I think you're right. I think I learned the lesson. And since when book 2 comes out, which will be next year at some point, I will not do the same thing. I will not read reviews. But yeah, at the same time, it's also fun, right? Because to be fair, I would say like I received almost only amazing reviews. So it's almost like sad that it's only the ones. If you do something you don't know, Amazon weighs the bad reviews way more than the good reviews. Like if you get a 1-star review, you need like 5 stars review to even that out. Like imagine how that is, right? It's almost like all these algorithm things is actually meant to fuck us up. Almost, right? So, but yeah, you're right. I should never read review again, and maybe I will stop doing that. So, once again, it's been an incredible year. I had a lot of chances of talking about the book on podcast. I did my first written interview for Perseus Academy. I used to do written interviews all the time in the 2000s, 2010s when I was a musician, a professional musician, I should say. I still play music. And it was nice to go back to actually have some time to think about the answer as opposed to just like blurting out when you're on podcast, right? So it was nice. Yeah, it really opened me to different perspectives that I did not consider first. It also opened me to a lot of crazies. Like, imagine having a book like this with your name on, very prominent as it should be. And now you the kind of people you get, especially right now, with the kind of, landscape we are trolling through. It's interesting. It's interesting and a bit jarring at time, right? So again, I guess that's all I have to say about the book. It's great. It's worked. Thank you again. Celebration, right? So once again, that is your code off if you want to do it. Now, what is coming up next? I always have to do a little bit of what is coming up next, right? Should definitely do this. First and foremost, a lot of you have asked me, Marco, you do all these courses. They're very good, but they're very expensive. And I don't have 2 months, 3 months, 4 months to do any of this anymore because, it's... You're right. It's the word has changed right now. Like it's not the pandemic anymore. I always say this, right? So what I've been doing now is that I'm starting to do online weekend workshops. The first one will be on the Thelemic Holy Season. How the practices, the theory and practice of that, right? And it will be on the 23rd and 24th March, which is when the Thelemic Holy Season will have started already for this year, but I guess we can hit the ground running, right? And then one of the biggest topics I've always been asked to discuss, even during my early pandemic, patron years, was discussing the Tree of Clifford. Some of you will know, and some of you will discover now, that at the very beginning of magical career, like late 90s, early 2000s, up until 2003, I was a member of the Dragon Rouge. I never been in Gotland where they do the annual gathering, so I never met anybody in person, apart from the people that went up to build Loggia Sotis Lodge in Naples. In fact, the first meetings of Sotis Lodge in Naples, that eventually would go in Naples, were at my apartment in Rome. I then left it because, lo and behold, a lot of fucking fascists. So, but I always went up and I always maintained an interest for the dark side of creation, the night side. I prefer to call it the night side of creation, and the Tree of Clifford, I prefer to call it the Tree of Night, not the Tree of Death. But of course, that's what we are going to do on that. On that weekend, which is going to be on the 20th and 21st of April. Somebody is saying, Left and Pat, hot topic, goth Protestants. Yes, correct. I think I'm going to make this point as well. My fascination with Left and Pat and with the Tree of Night and the Clifford was because I grew up as a goth and as a metalhead, and then I think I said this before, the only Thelema that was really available at the time in Italy, translated, apart from Magic in Theory and Practice, was Kenneth Grant's book. So I was really into that, right? So yeah, I mean, that was my attraction to it. I can't deny it, and I'll say it in this, in this workshop. These workshops will be £60, which is very different from the £200, £250, £300 price range of my month-long courses. So I hope this will be able to give people more chances to participate and to learn about topics that are not they're not so easily explored. Okay. Somebody is saying here, I would love to hear you discuss the Clifford. There you go. That's your chance. You can already sign up for it on my website, marcovisconti.org. That might be a lie, in fact, because I'm not sure I have put that on the website yet. But if you go on magic.marcovisconti.org, which is what Jessica thankfully put there, you will find the links to sign up to each of these one. You can do both, you can do one, you can do nothing, right? That's down to you. But it's definitely there. The opportunity is definitely there. So I'm just looking at one. Somebody's saying here, Papa Hamilton is saying, you should have stood your ground with the title. You know what? The Thelema After Tears would have been the title of the book, right? And which is, of course, the title of this live stream right now. This content, this is what is Thelema After Tears. I'm not sure I would have sold 5,000 copies of the book if I stood my ground with the title. Now, the second book, I think I will. I think the second book will be called Awakening the Angel. AA? What about that? But it's too early to say about it, right? But maybe. So coming up next, these two workshops are coming up next. Then I'm going back at the College of Psychic Studies on the 7th of March, so less than a month from now, Alchemical Mandalas, exploring the cosmological and spiritual symbolism. I think they made a better title than the one that I thought. And this is going to be an online workshop. This one will not be recorded. The college elected not to record this one because it's going to be based on pathworking, audiovisual pathworkings, focusing on on some images from the various should say muti libri in English, the mutus liber of alchemy, like those books that only contain images and you have to get everything out of the images themselves. Well, we're gonna look at some of them, maybe make a story out of them, and through pathworking, we're going to try and analyze them. This one will be online. You can get this at the College of Psychic Studies, and this one I think this also is one of £60 or something like that, or maybe even £40. Again, this one, it's the only thing that I do online that will not be recorded. Usually everything I do is recorded, so if you cannot attend the live, you can watch it later. This one won't. So again, this maybe will be mostly for those who are in the UK, because of course we're going to meet at 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. UK time. Okay, well, and then other things I'm doing right now. The course with Peter Levanda, Stairway to Heaven, is up and running. It's amazing. I gotta say, I'm really, really loving I think this thing I'm doing right now, it's one of the best thing I've ever done. I always say this, like I tend to be very excited about my new thing, right? But honestly, having the opportunity to share the virtual stage with Peter and spending, we went for an hour and a half, both sessions. That we've done 2 sessions yet. Another one is coming, of course, every Wednesday. We're having so much information, right? And the thing is that we're really blessed with an amazing cohort of people. I had a lot of very good students over the last few years. The people that are signed up to this course, I gotta say, another level, really. Like they're so enthusiastic, they're so interested. We had like dozens and dozens of questions. We have to like cut times for questions, right? Because it was so many and so good, right? It's like people are really, really getting into what we're trying to do, present the idea of celestial ascent and tying it, with history, with anthropology, with magic, with ufology. It's really good. So yeah, I mean, Jessica just put the link there if you want to read more. This one again will not be repeated. This is a one-off thing. Like Peter is incredibly busy. I'm gonna be incredibly busy as soon as the second book will be fully announced, etc., etc. So this one will not be repeated. It's a one-off. That's it, right? I'm kind of thrilled about it. Okay, before saying goodbyes, because that's about it for today. Do you have does anybody here that has any questions? We have some time for questions, right? Like usually it's always let me go back to this one. Yeah, usually it's always about me giving you a little bit of updates and celebrations today. I forgot to say that if you had any questions, you could ask them, but I always like to put a little bit of Q&A. We don't have to do it, right? It depends if there's anything. If not, in the meantime, if there's any question, you think about it, right? If not, I would like to close. I would like to read, actually, something that many of you will have read from the book. So maybe if you haven't got the book yet, maybe you haven't done it. And that is the afterword by my friend, David Southwell of Hookland fame. If you don't know what Hookland is, well, you should Google it and lose yourself into the landscape punk magic of one of the last few mythical places that you can access for free and that you can lose yourself into. And I just want to read this afterwards because I remember when he sent it to me, I think I ended up reading it for ages, right? And so I'm going to read it for you now. Sorry for my bad English. My magic has always been of the bruised margins, dull desperation, the necessary wordings when squatting, blood and dust workings. While wading through the thick cloud of uncritical biases, which is being a teenager, I took against ceremonial magic. My reasoning, as little as there was of it, focused on the way monarchy with swords and capes excluded those who could not afford such things. I was also instinctually against what I interpret as an obsession with status and hierarchy. Most of all, I dislike its rampant obfuscation. These things still rankle me. My magical heroes were discovered in comic books, zines, and the place I walked. My magical heroes were John Constantine, Phil Hine and the Cunning Folk, all the crow doctors of an Essex childhood. Peasant and punk magic at my core. I'm still cigarette smoke sigils, iron goggles, and 21 pepper rum. Of course I read Crowley. He was so soaked into the history of modern magic and pop culture, it seemed like an act of willful ignorance to avoid his texts. Yet around those texts, a toxic miasma of bastard claimants to the legacy. Approaching Thelema, you felt like a mythic knight hacking their way, not through torn edge, but swathes of nodding fans and gatekeepers while trying to get to the heart of any worthwhile knowledge. A landscape filled with iteration after iteration of pecking order piss-puffinery, deliberate befuddling, and exclusion. Not for me. I will admit to also being turned away by some that Crowley influenced. The grift of L. Ron Hubbard, Anton LaVey, and even Gerald Gardner provoked spontaneous nausea. The toad cursing, brick throwing, journalist threatening antics of Kenneth Anger were hardly an enticement to the reading of his muse. And let us not start with the sneering, preening, and pontificating of Thelemites you often run into the late 80s and 90s. Narcissistic warbling is not new or peculiar to the first generation to grow up with the saturation of social media, as much as some old ants try to portray it as such. Crow himself, who is playing up to the ludicrous wickedest man in the world theatrics, was also not an inducement to return to the study of his work. The tale of Ian Fleming wanting to utilize him to debrief Rudolf Hess, confirmed to me personally by John Pertwee, but the admiralty refusing due to his reputation, seemed emblematic of his self-lacerating tactics. Wisdom obscured by the din of outer noise, the extra K as a lens of mud. Yet if my punk and peasant approach has taught me anything, it is to respect and use what works. Adapting tools that assist in actual doing, navigation by fundamental truths. Beyond their own versions of befogging, the way of many cunning folks was a blurring beyond the meaningless labels of high and low magic on a path of achieving through action. Which is why I like this book. It is a text of performing, not pontificating. It bravely refused to be obscurantist. While Marco could have played games of I know more than you, there is none of that here. Instead, in an age of witch grift, here is a manual of witch graft. You just devour something that gives you what you need to know about Thelema and much of magic, but has not been afraid to tell you that there's going to be a work, a bloody awful lot of work. This is a book on the occult that trusts the reader to be shown what is often hidden, and a much rarer thing than it should be. In London pubs, across magic circles left by glasses of Guinness, Marco and I often discuss providing ladders and ramps out of the predatory pits of those exploiting new students to the subject. It is not only him manifesting one of those ladders, it is signposting of things to come. Marco has provided a burning of armchairs, not of books. You've been given a kick up the arse to be magical, not to the navel gaze. You now have a map of walls to climb over and traps to avoid. Use it. Be imaginative. Be as willing to be inspired by the obvious fictions of comic books as you are by the raw wonders of the world. Engage, experiment, observe, most of all, do. The basics performed across decades make great magicians. The basics combined with expansive imagining create magicians who inspire others. My way forward is to continue to dance with the geni locorum, to establish embassies with the unfolding other worlds. My magics are about relationships. By turns, the path I walk may be quest, pilgrimage, or slog through the mire in a sinking world. I'll stay a creature of the margin and marches. My resistance will always be re-enchantment. My way most likely will be entirely different to yours. Good. In the time to come, I hope to learn from some of you that will take this text and do things with it. Extraordinary things, magical things. You no longer have the excuse of not knowing how to do them. David Southwell. So this is, when I first read it, I was like, well, if I never write anything else, at least someone thought that of what I wrote. And that was beautiful. So thank you, David. And in the meantime, there are some questions here. I heard a room on the EA cutting is Peter Levenda's love child. Thoughts? We should ask Peter. I don't think so. They couldn't be further from one another, really. I know that it's funny because a lot of people have this impression of Peter to be a very like a dark magician because he wrote the Dark Lord and wrote about various like Lovecraft adjacent themes. Now Peter is one of the most solar persons I ever met and has really nothing to do with the greasy grift of EA Coating. Is EA Coating still alive? Is still around? Is he out of prison? Like, is he still dealing in meth and other beautiful things? Right? I don't know. So, okay. Any advice for wider reading and practice of Liber Samekh? Yes. Take my course, the Holy Guardian Angel Experience. I went through a painful amount of detail about what Liber Samekh really is, how you should use it, why you should use it, and why you should not use it, and maybe do something else entirely. Honestly, if you don't want to take the course, again, a long course, 3 months, expensive, etc., I understand. This will be a big chunk of the new book that I'm writing, which again is going to be titled, unless something changes, Awakening the Angel. And it's a very good question because it really is one of those themes that are really not explored at any length in Thelema. So in many ways, any advice for wider reading and practice? Either take the course or wait a couple of years, maybe a year and a half, for my second book to come out. Because the reality there is that there's not much written down. There's oral instructions in the AA, at least in the AA that I was initiated into. I don't know if different lineages of the AA have different approaches. If I can give you just one free suggestion here. Spend as much time as you can on the Scholion, the third point, the commentary. Not the commentary of the line, no, not the second part, the line-by-line commentary, which is where Crowley goes into incredible Kabbalooks, as I like to call it, right? He really try to make sense of things that maybe shouldn't be made sense from a gematria or ipsosophy perspective. Read the third part. The third part is next to the commentary to Liber Viva Reguli, which is some of the best commentaries Crowley ever wrote about one of his rituals, right? So in many ways, I think that if you want to make sense of Liber Samekh, almost like you should not do what Liber Samekh tells you to do. It's maybe it's not about the words or the actions or the pentagrams or the visualization. Maybe it's about understanding what it says at the end, right? Like it's a big chunk of text, and it's a great lesson in magic. Okay, let me know. Okay, or maybe I will see you on Magic Without Tears, taking the Holy Guardian Angel Experience course. Do you believe the Qliphoth should be embraced by magician dedicated to completing the great work? Well, that depends on how you frame the great work, right? For some people, the great work is Tiferet. For some people, the great work is Kether. For some people, the great work is the whole spectrum, right? Like the side A and side B of the tree. Are there just two sides? Are there more to that? Is the tree not only three-dimensional, is it maybe n-dimensional? And at that point, then it gets a bit crazy to think how many trees could be there, right? In my experience, one can go through initiation without really worrying about the Qliphoth. Okay, and again, even when we speak about Qliphoth, again, I will try and make the point in the upcoming workshops. Depending what you're reading, the Qliphoth will be different things. If you read the original Sitra Hakra, it's something, right? The shells of creation. It's negative matter or maybe antimatter. If you read, all the various Eleftan pathers, from the decent ones to the completely bonker ones, you will go through, including Thomas Carlson and the Dragon Rouge, by the way, you will go through very different experiences. It's the Luciferian initiation. I think that if you're interested in Thelema, the Qliphoth do play an important role, because one of our holy books is Liber 231, which deals in very oblique terms about the Qliphoth, in the sense, well, it speaks about the paths, the tunnels of Set, what Kenneth Grant would call tunnels of Set, right? So I think that as a Thelemite, it's important to study them and to try and make sense of them in Thelemic context. Also think it's very important to understand what they are in the original context, so Kabbalistic context, as much as possible. And maybe also come to the realization that a lot of this stuff that's been written about it from Kenneth Grant onward, it got progressively worse, right? It became progressively more LARP and more, as Papa Hemlock was saying earlier on, what was that? Hot topic, goth Protestant approach to it. So long story short, depends. If your magic is about reaching Tiferet, if that is the great work for you, which is, I don't know, but the Rosicrucian, the perspective of the Rosicrucians, you don't need a Qliphoth. If you are maybe a golden donor, definitely not your interest. If you're a Thelemite, and especially if you're a Thelemite who's interested in the magical mystical side of it, so the AA, not so much the paramasonic side of it, that is the OTO, then maybe you should definitely give it a go, right? There you go. Universe B Vampire. We can go full. We will discuss a little bit what the Universe B and the Meon is, according to Michael Berthiaud. And I think Michael Berthiaud's take is really interesting when you understand what he's saying. Unfortunately, there's never been any edited edition. Sorry, nobody has ever edited his books, right? A lot of people, approach, maybe buy the Wooden Gnostic Workbook, and then I was like, "What is this? I don't understand it." I can understand you don't understand it. Again, back to talking about with Peter Levenda, I proposed to him jokingly that maybe me and him we should do like an edited version of the of the Wooden Gnostic Workbook, but that would require, it's a lifetime endeavor, and I don't think we have that lifetime. I mean, I hope somebody will come. Maybe after I'm gone, like in the centuries to come, because there's a lot of interesting stuff in Michael Berthiaud's system, and it's so weird that unless you had the chance to speak with him directly and work with him directly, like I did, it won't make sense. Anyway, that's my perspective, at least. Somebody's saying here, love, truth, and freedom. I like that. I would like to see a book on Clifford, modeled after Fortune's MQ. I don't know what Fortune's MQ is. Do we have a link to Fortune's MQ? Should I Google it? Fortune's MQ. What is that? I don't see anything that seems interesting or relevant. I don't know what Fortune's MQ is, but it sounds interesting. Let me know. Maybe drop a comment on this video and you will let me know, right? That's fantastic. All right, folks. I've been rambling for 1 hour. That's enough. Thank you all for who you come today to this little celebration of my first anniversary, manual anniversary of the Aleister Crowley manual. And oh, the mystical Kabbalah. I see. And in fact, yeah, that's my take on that. Doom Fortune, mystical Kabbalah. So you see, okay, something like going very, very detailed, step by step. Well, but that's kind of what I'm going to do on the workshop. So it's not going to be a book, but it's going to be on the workshop. So, like possibly, I don't know if this workshop is, I'm able to write it, something that I like, and people that come and study it with me will like it as well. I don't know, maybe we'll make it into the book. There's definitely space in the second book to explore something that goes beyond Tiferet. Tiferet will be the main goal. Very much, going from Malkut to the Veil of Paraket was kind of the topic of my first book. Tiferet will be the main topic of the second book, but maybe we can start to explore something else as well. So anyway, rambling. Thank you for coming. It's been a pleasure. Do what the will shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law. Love and the will.